Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jhalak, a first glance, a series that unveils, discusses, and actually interrogates works, creative works. It can be dance, stage, even new books, visual and performance art before they actually premiere. Now, today in conversation, we have two very interesting people from the Pickle Factory Foundation in Kolkata. And why are we talking to them? Because they've been chosen to curate a special digital film showcase. India is represented in a festival in South Africa. Now, this festival is very dear to me. It's called Jomba, which in Zulu means jump. Now, Jomba is the brainchild of the amazing Leanne Lutz. Well, if you don't know who Leanne Lutz is, I urge you to please look her up. There is so much that she has done in arts and activism, and she herself is artistic director of her own company, the Flatfoot Dance Company. So now, Jomba in Durban, South Africa, has commissioned Pickle Factory, which is an arts collective in Kolkata, to curate an India film showcase. And that's what today's discussion is about. So joining us today are two people from Pickle Factory, Vikram Iyengar and Kunal Chakraborty. Vikram Iyengar is the founder director of Pickle Factory Dance Foundation. He's an arts leader and connector based in Kolkata, India. He works internationally as a dancer, choreographer, director, curator, presenter, and arts researcher writer. Kunal Chakraborty shifted gears from core engineering to take up photography and filmmaking. He's closely associated with the People's Film Collective and is currently project manager for the Pickle Factory Dance Foundation. Welcome, Vikram and Kunal. So, Vikram, my first question to you is, this perhaps has been a gift of the pandemic. I mean, an opportunity like this for Pickle Factory Foundation and Jomba between Kolkata and Durban, India and South Africa may never have occurred if not for this global lockdown. So tell me, when the invitation first came to curate, what were your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you entirely. I think even for Leanne, when she was conceiving of the last festival and this year's festival, I think the pandemic locked so many doors, but also has opened many possibilities. And I think her desire to continue a dialogue with India just sounds new, a very new avenue to do so. And definitely, being forced in a sense to go online has allowed her to actually expand her thinking and allowed her to invite us to curate 8 different artists. There are 14 different artists represented in the film that we are between filmmakers and choreographers. There was no way that you could take 14 artists and their work to Durban for a festival from India. So definitely it's a very pandemic way of thinking curation. The challenge for us was, I think, we were very aware that Durban is the largest Indian diaspora place outside of India. It has a huge Indian population, Indian origin population. So I think apart from the provocations that Leanne gave us in terms of the festival theme and other things that she wanted to us to work with, we were very conscious of, okay, this is a showcase of dance film work from India. A, how much dance film work is actually available in India for us to look at and select from. And B, what is the image of India that we want to present? Because we're not only talking to a diaspora population, we're talking to an international population again, since it's online, not just a South African population, but a global population. You don't know, unlike a live performance, so you have some sense of, okay, I'm performing here, therefore audience demographic is likely to be this. In an online space, you have no clue what the audience demographic is likely to be. So those were, I think, the challenges that we were, for us as co-curators, that we were sort of very conscious of when this invitation came our way. Yeah.
Kunal, I'm taking the next question to you. Vikram says that you had to be conscious in a way that the showcase is going to somehow reflect India. But we all know there are so many Indias, right? India lives in several centuries simultaneously. So tell us about the process, because I don't know about all the films, but whatever I've seen, tell us about the title. I know the provocation was Border Crossings, and what the India Showcase is called, and how you somehow zeroed in on the final selection, the variety and the final selection.
So like the provocation for this year's Jomba is border crossings, and like you know, border is a very difficult term to deal with in India, and we have a colonial history and there's a post-colonial part of it. So yeah, and searching for the films, I'd say that like dance film is a very difficult art form. Cinema is a difficult art form in itself. It encompasses like visuals, and there's an oral sense. And why are people so much hooked to cinema in general? It is the most naive art form, considering all like painting and sound and even dance. But we are all more or less hooked to cinema. There are digital contents, there are digital films now. And making a dance film again out of it is even more difficult for me, because dance, which is based on movement, it is very organic in nature. But you cannot ascribe the term organic to cinema, because it's very plastic in nature. Cinema is basically very plastic in nature. It depends on technology a lot, which dance doesn't. So what we are getting here out of dance film is a composite art form, wherein the dance form is very organic and the cinema form is very inorganic. So it is very difficult, for me at least, to make a dance film. It is not very simple. So, but still, I'd say that artists are really thinking out loud, and they are creating works which really are amazing. And I feel for me, now is the most important time for dance film, because dancers have started to explore this visual scene in a different way completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
1 year ago, we were just floundering around, right, saying what are we going to do? Now 18 months later,
right,
now we're actually looking at it as a medium, and another performative medium.
Exactly.
Continue.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, we try to keep this as much as open as possible, our mindset, because this is also something which we are dealing with for the very first time, I think. So yeah, and also since the provocation for Jomba 2021 is border crossings, so in this case also we wanted to keep this border as much porous as possible, like the border between film and dance, if you can call it, and the various other the contents that come up from within the dance films. So yeah, and we have not been, I think we have not been very strict in terms of finding anything very particular. So yeah, and we have films. We have a film which was made around 10 years earlier, and we have films which have been made very recently during the pandemic. So, and in terms of the contents also, there are gender issues. There are very kinds of provocations that can be connected to border in various ways.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it.
So Vikram, Kunal is right. I mean, the slippages between the idea of borders, especially in a country like India, right? We've got faith, we've got social class, we've got caste, we've got so many different things. We've got identity issues. Now, if you're thinking, did you have to sort of commission, or at least provoke or sort of stimulate some artists that you felt were good to make the films or to complete their films for this curatorial project, or were all films already like finished?
Just to go back to the idea of border, I think what was really interesting and challenging for us looking at borders in India is the fact that it's not just a difficult term, but it's very that where you draw the border for anything is constantly shifting.
Yeah.
Not even on a day-to-day basis, it can shift 20 times in one day. So that whole idea of a shifting border is something that we really wanted to play with. And I think Kunal's point about dance being organic and the film being plastic, that also gives you an opportunity because there's so much movement, it automatically gives you the idea of things shifting. In terms of commissioning, also in our conversation with Leanne, it was very clearly not a commissioning invitation because of not just because of resources on offer, but also there was very little time. I think she got in touch with us in late April or May, and we needed to actually have the programming done by end of June or early July. I can't remember now. So there wasn't enough time even to do a proper call for applications. So the process was very much Kunal and I, through our contacts, through literally stalking dancers online and asking dancers that we knew had made film, can you recommend others? So really gathering things through recommendations, through following things. And at the same time, almost serendipitously, there were a couple of other dance film events happening online. And so we just signed up for those to see what are the films that, so one of the films at least comes out of us having attended another showcase and seeing, oh, this is a wonderful film that we didn't even knew existed. And I think on the one hand, while this is a bit sort of magpie-like, on the other hand, it's sort of because it was just so jugaad in a sense, it also gave us a window into a whole range of work. And that's really when we're talking about what you said about, India existing in so many times and spaces and histories. An image of India that we wanted to suggest, not sort of underline in big black ink, but definitely to suggest that. And when Leanne was saying contemporary work, it was also, we were looking at what is contemporary, because it is a contested term in India across art forms, not just in dance. And also, I personally, as a dancer, don't subscribe to the argument that, oh, I'm a classical dancer dancing today, therefore I'm contemporary. No, contemporary is about a way of thinking. It's not about what you're doing. But still, I think you still have to nuance the word contemporary depending on which artist you're applying it to, what context that artist is working in, because the notion of contemporary thinking absolutely changes from region to region in India.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, we have a classical artist, a Manipuri dancer who's made a film with very traditional content and inspiration maybe, but she's exploring things in spaces and with camera that she would never have done 2 years ago. And there is a certain kind of contemporary sensibility that she's having to apply to her dance now, because she's working in an open space, in a space where there is none of the traditional, not traditional, but what has come to be sort of accoutrements of dance presentation, none of that. So she's having to rethink, how do I present dance? And that for her is a contemporary provocation. So keeping that as well as keeping work from, say, someone like a Preeti Atreya, who's very established as a contemporary performer and who's making work in a pandemic situation, very aware of the pandemic situation and responding to all the textures of the pandemic. So you have both these films coming out of the pandemic, but very different notions of why they are making, what they are responding to, and very different entry points into the work. And that's what we found not very, very exciting, to sort of string these sort of things together.
Kunal, are there any two films in this showcase that you're excited about? Just any two that you can just talk about briefly. Vikram has just spoken about one about a Manipuri dancer and one was an established contemporary dancer. I want to hear from you. Can you pick up on any two other films in the showcase that that you're particularly, fond of?
I'm fond of all the films, but I'd say the film that I mentioned in the last part, in the last bit, the film made by Surjit, which was made around roughly 10 years back. It's called Underline, and it's one of my most favorite films, dance films. However little I might have watched dance films, but yeah, it is very it is really very catching. I mean, the camera does something. The camera goes into places and it deals with the body in a way which we don't come across very often. So that is one of the films which I like to mention, and another one being Sarab, which is a film from again it's a collaborative project between two artists, one dancer and one filmmaker. And yeah, this film also it talks about a kind of space which is very surreal in nature, which is not which is neither in the real world, which is neither nor in the dream world. And it there's a very poignant sense of loss in the film. And uh, even though it might have no connection with the pandemic that which we are going through right now, but uh, like I said, it brings in the sense of loss of something very close to the heart, which is very which we hold very beloved. uh, yeah, these are the two films, but like I said, I'm fond of all the films in this selection. Yeah.
Okay. Vikram, I just want you to now just tell us the name of the India Showcase, the date that it will actually, be seen. How are the Indian films going to be rolled out on several days, or do they have multiple screen timings? And yeah, just give us those details, please.
We agonized actually over the naming of the showcase. And we came up with something that we can't actually pronounce. We had to actually write it down. If I read it through, it's called Immaterial, but it's written as capital I space small m oblique material with a capital M. So it looks
I am
better as a
material.
logo.
It's like it's also I am material.
And it's
So-
also immaterial. It's also
Yes,
immaterial.
and I am
you can say it in
immaterial.
some
Yes.
ways. So that was exactly what we wanted to play between. What is the materiality of the body, the materiality of the outside space? Am I the material? Am I immaterial in the world we are now living in? All those sort of questions that just the name throws up. Um, so all the films sort of deal with that in some way, some very obviously, some in a very abstract way. So there are 8 films. We had originally said, okay, we'll do 6 films, but as Kunal is saying, that we found such richness of variety, we said, okay, we have to figure out how to fit. We couldn't sort of reduce from 8. It was very difficult. And the films, since Jomba is complete, it's a digital festival this year, like last year. So basically, everything that they're doing, it premieres on their YouTube channel, and our premiere is on the 4th of September. It's, I think, 10:30 p.m. India time. And what they're doing is they do have a sort of official premiere, but the showcase remains online for 72 hours for you to watch as per your convenience. So it will be online 72 hours and then removed. And following that, on the 5th of September at, I think, 6:30 p.m. India time, there is a discussion with Lian, Kunal and myself around this showcase. And also there is a little surprise as part of that discussion, which we are not allowed to reveal. But there is another element that Lian has asked us to bring in, which is a performative element. So that will also be there. And yeah, that's what Lian is calling the India crossings. And we have to say that this is supported in a large part by the Indian consulate in Durban. So they've really supported Jomba to make this happen. So that's what the showcase is. Those are the dates and times, and I hope they're going to join us. All you have to do is just click on the Jomba YouTube channel and register for that, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll know the whole program, not just our program.
Right. So I'm just going to repeat this for the viewers. Jomba Dance, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Jomba is a Zulu word which means jump. And it's this amazing, amazing art space festival created by Leanne Lutz, herself just a completely remarkable Renaissance force of nature person. And she's created this jewel in Durban. I've had the pleasure and privilege of being invited and being presented by her. And as Vikram and I know, Durban has the largest concentration of in the Indian community outside India. We might call them immigrants, but they feel so Indian, they look so Indian. It's like we've stepped back in time when we go to Durban. And I'm hoping that those of you who are watching this edition will also search for Leanne Lutz, because I really urge you to find out more about her. Of course, Pickle Factory Foundation, which is going to celebrate 4 years and marching on with great strength, fueled by the pandemic, I'm sure. Congratulations to Vikram and Kunal. And, this is an amazing, really initiative. I'm really happy that Indian dance films, however nascent they are, however new and young and still in sort of the crucible of for formation, that it's actually a perfect time, because the dance traditions are so rich, they're so varied. Our thought process, our social constructs, the fabric of our everyday lives is just such rich fodder for this, So I think the time has come. The time has come for Indian dance and the technology to really come together. So congratulations, Vikram, Kunal, Pickle Factory, and a big shout out to my dearest Leanne and Jomba. I hope you have an amazing festival. Thank you all for watching. And remember, please join, subscribe to our channel, join Pickle Factory, find out about Jomba, because this is the time for us to really understand what this amazing world of the arts is happening. The pandemic has brought many of us so much closer together. So thank you once again, and be safe, everyone.
Thank you.